Coming up in this video, dealing with grief and loss as a medium like a pro. This is part of our mediumship development training system. We've been building up to this video today where we're going to give you some insider tips on how to actually deal with different parts of grief and loss as a medium in your work. If you are curious about mediumship, maybe you're exploring this as a hobby, maybe you want to go pro. If you would like some tips, come join us for some insider mediumship development training.
It is time to tag up. Give us a hashtag ZenHead for life if you haven't already. And if you're watching live, give us a hashtag LiveTribe.
And if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay fam.
If you are just getting to know us, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenRoseGarden.com. I think it's super perfect that today's video landed on Halloween because it's about the grieving that comes with the death of a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different kinds of grief in our world. So we can grieve when we leave a job or leave our hometown. This is about death.
Yes.
So the three emotions that most people experience in some way during grief are anger, guilt, and fear.
And these can be difficult and uncomfortable, but they must be felt to get through it to some degree.
Yeah. And if they are suppressed, they may become more permanent residents, bitterness, resentment, depression. They can hang out and stay with you for a lot longer than they're supposed to.
And along with these go all of the what ifs. All of those what ifs that will never be answered.
So we'll be talking about the what ifs in the coming up videos, not today so much, but we'll be getting into those. And those are tricky places to get through grief. But yesterday, or in the last video, depending on when you're watching, we gave a brief overview of what the anger process might look like during grief.
And today we're going to give you some tips on how to move through the process with as much grace as possible without interrupting it, without making it worse, or without squashing it. And now it's time for the good stuff. Now it's time for the good stuff. Now it's time for the good stuff. It's different every time.
I feel like that was
doing like Mummy,
Frankenstein Mummy.
That was the Halloween special.
So here we go. So tip number one, and this is important. We broke this down so that it's helpful for you as a practitioner, but also as just a regular person that is experiencing grief and trying to help a friend through it. So tip number one is know your own death attitudes. Okay.
And learn how to shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
And know what you believe about death. You don't have to know for sure, but you do have to have a basic understanding of how you feel about death.
Concept. So first, it is essential to know what your feelings and your attitudes about death are. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to be willing to examine any of your fears regarding death so that your issues are not going to be a problem or be triggered by some other person who happens to be in the grief process, especially if you're going to do this as a profession.
So it's kind of a mindfulness thing because when you're I've seen people do it and it can be tragic. You're talking to a friend, like, I don't really know what happens when we die. Maybe we don't. And you're working out your issues while this person just needs a listening ear. So after all, you are there to help and support the person in grief, not to use it as an opportunity to speculate your views of death or life after death.
Right. Then listen. That's all you really have to do. Listen, love, and support the grief-stricken so that they can speak that grief out of their broken hearts.
So, and that's the first step. If you get nothing else, there's a lot of grief techniques. The baseline is to learn to shut up and listen.
Please.
So don't worry and not to worry about the right thing to say because we want to, our first impulse when we're talking a friend through grief is to talk them through grief. It's you listen them through grief. So don't worry about the right thing to say. Simply be present with love, assisting them to move forward to a time when they can really appreciate beauty again and feel joy again in a stronger, more meaningful way, in a stronger, more meaningful life.
Absolutely. So this is the first, most basic step. Get out of the way. Okay. If we don't squash it in the beginning, the human psyche has a pretty good idea of how to get the process going and how to keep it going because, and we've noticed this a lot in our work, there is a wonderful part inside of the human mind that already knows not only what it is that they're going through, but how to navigate that. They just need a little bit of support, a listening ear, and just a shoulder to cry on, or whatever it is that they need. They just need that place where they are safe enough to get through it.
So yeah, first thing is just, if you learn nothing else, shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
and get out of the way. It's interesting going through the grief process because, with my dad and my mom, my dad is so fresh. That's like, I feel I have this happiness about kind of connecting with him where he is, but also the sadness that I'm never going to have a physical conversation, while I'm still alive. So
moving on to tip number 2.
So this is about what not to say to someone who has lost a loved one. So there's some common things we're going to give you.
Listen up.
Yes, because this is the part I really want you guys to come away with, because these are common things that civilians will say to each other.
Yes.
Okay.
And let us know in the comments if you've witnessed any of these, or maybe even if you've done any of these, even with a good intention.
Oh, I know I have. Until you really learn about the techniques of grief counseling, all of us have done this kind of thing.
So the trauma of losing anyone close is absolutely devastating, right? If you did everything together, this may be especially heartbreaking.
So the length and intensity of the grief process might be affected by how sudden the death was for the person, the amount of dependence they had on the person, if they had a spiritual belief system, and a host of other factors that we don't always have set up to support a person in grief in our modern culture.
Right. But we're going to talk about 4 common things that people say that actually really totally suck for the grieving person to hear.
And I know you've already got some ideas yourself, and I'd love to hear your no-nos.
Gail's already going on it.
Yeah. Okay.
She said, never say, how are you?
Right. Well, and that's a common thing to say, right? Yeah. So, okay. The first one we want to throw at you is sometimes people will say they died because it was God's will.
Or God had a better plan for them, things like that.
Right. A softer version might be it was their time to go. That might be a somewhat softer, better version, but just shutting up and listening is better.
Absolutely.
And the reason that one is hard for a person to hear they died because God said it was time for them to go, is because now they're angry at God as well, because they already might be angry at God for taking their loved one, but it might be under the surface.
And now you're really bringing it to the surface that God's an asshole because he just took my loved one away.
So, but the reason that's a tricky, sticky one is because this is a time when a person needs to rely on their belief system, their spiritual community, whatever that is for them.
Their mental construct of that support system even.
So they may get mad at God later, but you're kind of starting a process that they might not be ready to go through. So it's complex, but that's always kind of a sticky one for people because you're throwing a monkey wrench in their mix.
Right. So another one is when losing a life companion. You are young and you will find somebody else.
This one kills me. So, we've counseled a lot of people who've lost, they're young, they're maybe in their 20s or 30s, and they've lost a wife or a husband, in an accident before their time. Yeah. And that's tough. And I've heard people say that you're young, you're going to find somebody else, you'll be happy again. It is not time to say that. Not time to say that.
Actually, I don't think it's ever time to say that.
No, because right in that moment, you are never going to find someone else. You just lost your life mate that you are probably young and you're like thinking you have a whole lifetime ahead of you and now it's gone. So that's a tough one.
And you've just invalidated the depth of the connection that they did have with this loved one. Okay. Their partner, their companion, their whatever, their life person. And you just said that all of that is worthless, basically, because this new person, whomever that's going to be, is going to be better than.
I also think that this applies no matter what age you are, because I think if you have your life mate, you're never prepared. I think that one of the hardest things is to lose a spouse, or your partner, married or not, your life companion. So I don't care what age you are. If you're 90, it's not good to say that to someone, because right now, whatever age you are, there is no one else in the world for you.
In that moment, absolutely.
There will be down the road, but that's
maybe, who knows?
It's people usually find. But what I'm saying is that's not your place to put your business.
So another really bad one. And even though this is well-intentioned, let us know in the comments if you can see why this one goes bad. You will heal in time.
Right.
Okay. You're going to heal. You're going to get over this. It's going to be okay.
You'll get better. You'll feel amazing in a year. You got to go through the grieving process, so it's time to hurt like hell.
Yes.
So
yes. This sucks.
It's time to hurt like hell. It's time to think about the loved one. Like, I will never find another person, never going to love again. Forget it. I'm just going to be, that's what time it is right now. It's not time to talk about the healing. So
yeah, Starcy says, yeah, I never liked that.
Yeah. So the fourth one.
Yes. Then we get into be glad for the time that you had together.
And the person who's lost the loved one is thinking, I want more fucking time. They don't want to talk to you anymore. So the reason that these four we chose that are like no-nos to say is because these are pieces of awareness that the griever will get to when they get to it.
Right.
They're going to get to them when they reach that acceptance stage. They don't need help getting there. They're going to get there on their own if they can go through the stages of grief the way they're supposed to play out. So
right now, though, they are in the it hurts so much that I want to die stage. The pain is unbearable. Please don't try to take them out of that pain. It is a necessary part of the process.
But you can take them out of the pain by just shutting up and listening to them.
You don't want to take them out of the pain. You want to provide support so they can navigate through the pain.
Right. Well, you're providing a space for them to vent the pain.
To vent the pain, yes.
I'm not saying you're taking it, but the thing that you can do to help them move through the pain is to sit and listen. And we'll give you a little bit more. We'll give you some listening hints in the next tip.
Right.
Because really it's active listening, right? So how are we doing so far? Is this making sense? I know this is simple stuff, but straightforward stuff. But I think we often forget when we're in the heat of the moment. So that's what it is. It's like, you guys, it's common sense, right? But when we're in the heat of the moment, we lose touch with that. I want to get into tip number 3, and I love this tip for today, and it's how to help a client cope with grief. So now we're getting into some professional things you can use in your work as a medium or a healer or a counselor or anything. But if you have these down as a civilian and you never go into any professional work, they're great to know for yourself, because you're going to lose somebody, I guarantee. Or you're going to know somebody that does. So the most basic thing anyone can offer
when someone is in grief is to just let them talk about their loved one.
So it's more than just listening. It's letting them talk. Letting them to talk. So anyone can do this without any training, right? Memories. And I'm talking about good memories, bad memories, right?
Anything.
Joyful moments, sad moments, tragic moments, what they learned from the loved one, what they hated about the loved one. They just need to recap. They're recapping their loved one's life. They're recapping their relationship. So it's an active listening, isn't it? It's not just, I'm going to sit here and shut up and listen. You tell me what you want. It's a conversation, but a different kind of conversation.
It's a conversation where they're leading. Right.
So you are listening. It's not so much you sharing your experiences, but kind of, encouraging them to tell their story. 6 practical things that you can do to help somebody who is coping with grief. And you might want to write this down. Or
get your pencils out. And more importantly, as you learn these, and go back and watch the video again, as you learn these, you can share them with friends to educate them to not be stupid civilians during the grief process.
Right. So these are simple things again, but really they're ritualistic. They're simple. They help you access and maintain, create a better connection with the person where they are now, and bring you a sense of peace. So the first one.
And as we go through this, if you guys have your own practical things that you can do to help somebody in the middle of their grief process, drop them in the comments.
Well, you know what I would love to hear from you guys? So what have you done personally to help you get through the loss of a loved one? What is something that you did that really helped you through that process?
Or that you witnessed that somebody else did for you?
So the first one is find ways to connect with the person who's passed by using a special item of theirs. So for me, my mom had these really cool
earrings?
Her eye things that hold your glasses up.
Oh,
and they're like little amber beads. And so I put those on my glasses. I don't usually, the ones where, I don't use those normally, but I use them for like a whole month after she passed. And it was like, it was like, because she used them and I wanted to connect with her. So it was like a constant reminder every time I took my glasses on and off. And my daughter, I believe she used her purse. Was it a purse that she did? Yeah. I think she like got her Nana's purse and she used it and just.
And those are wonderful little items. They're kind of like little binkies or security blankets as somebody is going through their process. Okay.
Yeah. And I have a black scarf of hers that I'll sometimes wear on a fancy night out. And so using something that was theirs that you got after they passed.
As a transition period.
It helped as a transition period, or you might want to, I still use my mom's scarf, but it kind of helps you connect and reconnect. Helps you get through that grieving process. They're still there. Yeah. I remember picking up her scarf and it still smelled like her 6 months later. So those kinds of things can really help you move through the grief process easier. So number 2
is write in a journal. Okay, your own personal journal where you can express the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything indifferent without censoring. Okay, so writing in a journal where you get to have your freedom to express, to get all the stuff out.
And go buy a nice little journal, something really pretty that reminded you of the person. Write your memories in it. Vent. I'm really pissed off that you're gone. Fuck you. Oh, I love you. Make it your ugly cry, beautiful memory journal. So, and that's kind of something really cool.
Let's see. Gail says, I say, I'm here for you. Yes, that's actually a really good one.
That's a beautiful one. I like that one.
And then Gail says, when my husband passed, Ginger had me talk with a medium and connected with him. And it felt so good, the things he told me through her.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then moving on to number 3 is intentional, inspirational activities. Okay. Explore the spiritual side or just be in nature.
So something that connects you intentionally to inspiration, whatever that means to you, because really you spend a lot of time kind of like crying, getting through the day, making arrangements, putting that kind of compartmentalization in, so you can do the things you need to do, but intentionally plan some inspirational activities.
Yes. Something that connects you back to the bigger thing of life itself.
The bigger picture.
Yeah. The bigger picture, that essence of what nature brings to you. Or I mean, if you're a church goer, go to church.
I want to inject one that's not on our list, but it's something that was very beautiful for me. Was a couple of people sent me like treats. So my friend Anna just showed up with like this beautiful plate of sugar cookies that she homemade. And I just like, I mean, so something that's so simple and kind, and food is one of the most primal things that connect. We break bread together.
It's a feel good. Yeah.
And so that was like, oh my gosh, those got me through. Right. So, I mean, if you can bring the cookies and just sit and listen. I'm here for you is such a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah. So another one is number 4, lose yourself in service in order to stay connected to the living. Okay. So this kind of gives you the continuity of life, and going out and doing something good for somebody else or doing something good for the community, whatever it is, it brings you back to that feeling of the living, the feeling of life and being a part of a tribe, community, whatever it is, and helping.
You've got your foot in both worlds during that time after loved ones passed, or your client does. So either one. So you've got to keep functioning in life, which can be a drudgery because you really just want to curl up and eat pretzels. But
now I want a pretzel.
Oh my goodness. But to keep your foot in like service to others sort of takes you out of your own space and connects you to people. So that anchor is there for when you're ready to totally reconnect with everybody.
Right. And you don't have to do these in any particular order, and just know when it's right for you.
Right.
Okay. And another one, Denise says, is I write poetry in my journal and it has really helped.
Yeah. Poetry is so cathartic.
Yes. It is a great way to get deep into that subconscious and just write, express. Some people do art. Art is another great one to just kind of get it out. And then our number 5 is first anniversary rituals. Okay. At the 1 year mark is a really good time to honor them by doing something special. And on special days like birthdays, for example, do something that kind of honors their memory, honors your memories of them, honors the experience itself that you've had with them, whatever it is, create something special. And I would recommend doing it not in a wallowy kind of a way, but in kind of an honoring and, you know what, thanks for the time. Thanks for the memories. I remember you were fond. You're
getting emotional.
I am.
A lot of you have heard us all this week on our lives, but it's been 2 weeks of my brother Jeremy and his family being here from England. And so we brought them out to my dad's gravesite a couple of days ago. So we went out to the Veterans Memorial, and they brought flowers, put in the flower thing, and we all kind of talked about Papa for a while. And Oscar, who's their 5-year-old, my little great nephew, he ran around the cemetery and gathered up all these pine cones that had fallen off trees, like 25 pine cones. And he just kept running back and putting them on the headstone. And it was so cute and it was so sweet. And he just sort of knew what was going on. And he sat, after he put all his pine cones on the gravestone, he sat on the ground and just kind of connected. Like, you know, he'd never met his great grandfather. And it was kind of, we all just kind of noticed and went to see. He kind of understands what's going on.
He's got something bigger going on. Anne says, my normal, good to see you, Anne, by the way.
Yes, Anne.
She says, my normal tools of living didn't work when in the midst of grief. I did self-care by seeing David and Heather to suck some of the pain out. Absolutely. They helped soften the pain.
Yes, I love you, Anne.
Yes. And yeah, it is really good to see you here today.
Yes.
This is our number 6. At the very least, find somebody to talk to who will just listen.
Right.
Okay. You don't want somebody that's just going to interject their opinion or make it better for you or whatever. At that point, you don't want better. You just want somebody to listen. You want a shoulder to cry on. You want somebody, at the very least, just find somebody to talk who can just listen, who can be very supportive and just give you the freedom to get it out. Okay. Because that's a difficult time. I want to say thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah. And I also want to put something out here because it is Halloween and it's Day of the Dead.
When the veil is thinnest.
Right. And so I just do something special today because I know in my culture, in the Mexican culture, you do something special for your relatives because this is the time when you connect with them. So
there's a whole ceremony around honoring and communicating with your loved ones on Day of the Dead. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was first anniversary rituals. In the Native culture, there is the honoring of or the keeping of the soul. So basically, when a loved one passes, they've got all of the stuff that they've collected, and one person basically keeps that and holds that and honors that for a year. And then at the year mark, they unfold that and they give away the pieces and parts to the family members that resonate with that. It's a very lovely structured kind of a thing, a way to grieve that gives you the honoring of the loved one. And like we were talking about, the special items of theirs that get passed on at the year mark. So we want to know, are you more excited now that you have these tips?
Have we cleared up some mysteries, busted some myths?
It's a revolution. We are fighting back against lost fairies and unicorns running amok, causing chaos and wreaking havoc.
We do love them both, but sometimes they drink too much love and light and puke rainbow frosting all over the carpet. So we do want to take a moment to shout out one of our Zen heads. We want to give some love back to Jay, who shared her experience with us in Zen Ed Academy. She said, I am a new member of Zen Ed Academy and wanted to let you know how much I love it. I have tried 1 or 2 other membership groups and they don't offer nearly as much as you get as an official Zen head. I have only been part of the group for a few weeks, but have already seen the benefits of your classes in my Reiki business. Thank you for providing this service for the spiritual community. This is what we love to hear. We love to hear that we're doing what we need to do.
This is not the first person who's come to us and said, I've been to so many different groups and they don't have nearly what you guys have. That to us, that touches my heart. That is gold for us. Now it's time for that offer to take your metaphysical business from basic to bodacious, but only if it works for you.
We have learned that self-growth and developing your superpowers go together like sushi, Sapporo, and sake.
And that is why we created our signature subscription membership, Zen Ed Academy.
Are you tired of mediumship advice that is way too complicated?
Are you tired of people telling you, wait for it, that the intuitive arts are satanic?
That's my favorite every day.
Are you ready for a psychic and mediumship training that does not scare the crap out of you?
Most of all, are you ready for a place to call home with real people who actually support you?
I'm just gonna take a moment there because
getting emotional.
Yes, sometimes I get emotional. Sometimes I got emotions. They're inside and they just want to come out.
Are you going to go Tammy Faye Baker on us? So
I didn't wear any makeup.
And this is going to work for you, even if you're allergic to fairy dust and just need real information without all the unicorn poop.
So what do you need to do to get into the Academy and become part of the revolution? Click the link in the description. All the info is down below. If you like this video, hit that like button.
If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. That is where we get ideas for new videos.
And for more mind hacking pro tips,
be sure to subscribe
and click the bell to turn notifications on.
So you're the first to know. Who were you just now?
I have no idea.
It was some cartoon character just happened.
So you're the first to know when we drop a new video
or go live.
Absolutely. And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource. And the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that with us on Halloween, we honor and appreciate that. But most importantly, that you're here to level up your skills, take your life and your business to a completely new level. We honor and appreciate that even more. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, either over there or over there.
We'll see you in the next video. Happy Halloween.
Peace.